it was a really challenging period. But something that helped was I was probably at my most prayerful at the time. So I go on my 5-kilometer prayer walks every morning. And during the COVID pandemic, it was not optional. It was a lifeline for me. And so I told God. And I had lots of discussions with the Lord, that kept me through the pandemic. I'll tell about a particularly difficult situation where we had 2 patients on the ventilator. And the intensive care physicians that were managing the patients tried to hold me to ransom. So at the point of providing the service, they suddenly increased the already very high costs, charges, fees. And I'm a bit of a tough cookie myself, and I said, no. And they walked away. So I thought to myself, okay, not a big deal. I spoke to one of my colleagues and said, don't worry, I'll get you 2 more doctors. And he called the first and he said, oh, he'll be there in 30 minutes. And 30 minutes later, there was no doctor. And suddenly the phones were switched off. So apparently it was almost like a cartel. And the one person had said, nobody should work with Paleon. So nobody was willing to work. That day, I was losing my mind, and I had 2 patients on the ventilator. So I went on my prayer walk, left my phone behind, and I just said, Lord, you know that I went into this not for profit or anything, but to save lives. It's your business to save these lives. And when I got back, I looked at my phone, and I saw that the nurses, the intensive care nurses who were still on duty, were posting the same things that had been posted even when doctors were there. Apparently, what I found that the intensive care nurses are actually the backbone of the intensive care units. So the doctors just come in and leave. The intensive care nurses are the ones who manage. And so for more than 1 week, that intensive care was being managed by nurses only. There's nothing I could do. And then one of them said to me one day, I have this doctor. He's not a consultant yet, but he's very good at what he does. And at this point, I wasn't proud. I said, please, let him come in. And he was willing to break ranks with the others, and he came in. And the good thing, those patients lived. Those 2 patients were discharged. They are both still alive, and I talk to them regularly. But what is best was that this doctor is also a Christian, Dr. Laoli. He's a Christian.
Wow.
And so, like I say, he was more excited about the fact that Mr. Patel gave his life to the Lord than the fact that Mr. Patel lived. So at the point of managing them, he was witnessing to them, he was leading them to the Lord. He had so much compassion. So in the end, as in all things, God worked this for my good and for the good of the patient. That was the most difficult part of the pandemic. Those 2 weeks with those 2 patients on the ventilator.